The two sets of homes behind me were manufactured in 2 days, assembled on site in one. We kept the townhouses. We wanted to keep the townhouses open. We held back the workers from finishing it.
There is nothing here, so all those buildings were brought in just for the photo op.
Last weekend, Mark Carney made a big announcement about this Canada housing program. He bragged about modular housing and how it was going to save us from the housing crisis. He made this announcement in front of what was supposed to be an impressive-looking construction site. There's only one problem with that, though. None of it was real.
Let's take a look.
We are tantalizingly close to my riding of Nepean. Just across there. Very proudly in Anita's riding. Yes, Anita Vandervelde's riding of Nepean West. But in Nepean, it is the proud home to Kaiven, one of Canada's most successful developers, manufacturers, and home builders. It's one of a new breed that are driving a Canadian industrial revolution in home building, one we need. Kaiven is scaling up their plant from around 6 homes per day present to 38 per day by the end of the year. That is 10,000 homes a year built in their factory in Nepean. The two sets of homes behind me were manufactured in 2 days, assembled on site in one. We kept the townhouses. We wanted to keep the townhouses open. We held back the workers from finishing it so you could see how things fit together, how the computer design fits together and tailors the structure. The one over there is being shipped to Nunavut.
Kaiven. Remember that, because we'll come back to them. So, when we first heard the rumors that there was something sketchy going on with this announcement, we were, I don't know, skeptical about, I would say, Mark Carney, but also about the rumors. And then we started to take a bit of a closer look at what was going on.
As we typically do with these things.
Right. Because, you see in the video, appears to be a home under construction behind them. Okay, fine. Who cares? And he's making a housing announcement. We've seen a million of these from Justin Trudeau and Mark Holland and the rest of them. So what's so special about this one? Well, a few things. So this is a screenshot taken from a video that Mark Carney actually had on his X profile. And because I've seen a lot of homes constructed, because I've done a little bit in terms of construction and just general knowledge, there's some things here that just don't make sense when you're talking about construction. One of them is the fact that the facade facing the camera, which is what we see when Mark Carney is speaking, has a face and it has Tyvek wrap on it, which is an American company, by the way. Not sure why we're talking about Build Canada when we're talking about building homes and using Canadian materials when we have an American product here, when you can buy a Canadian product that's the same thing, but for $10 less. But anyway, let's not even talk about that. You have that front facade and it seems to be almost finished and it's ready for siding. The problem is there's no roof on this thing, and the side profile here, none of it's done. It doesn't make any sense at all.
Well, didn't Mark Carney say that they left the side of the townhouse open so everybody could see inside, as if nobody's ever seen inside a new build before?
Well, he did, but there's a problem with that. See, here's a screenshot taken from another development that's around us in Hamilton. And you'll notice that the walls are still going up on some units, and on the other town units that are next to it, which he did mention it was a townhouse, you see that the roofs are going on, but no windows are in. Why is that? Well, the reason for that is because things tend to shift after you actually put the roof on.
Right, because of the weight.
So if you were to actually install the glass windows and the glass doors, you could actually potentially shatter them
due to scaffolding, equipment, or the building shifting.
So that's why you don't install the glass until everything's kind of done. And even that, the roof has to go on and the shingles go on the roof, and then you put everything on, because that's a lot of weight to actually come down on the walls, and everything has to settle. So the fact that they see, oh, well, you know, it's almost done, but we put a whole bunch of glass in, this raises some eyebrows when you're looking at this from a construction perspective.
Right. That is not the way you build a house. You do not put the glass in before you get the roof on.
Now, it turns out that our concerns about this were justified, because one of the Conservative candidates in the last election, Barbara Ball, who ran against Mark Carney, who would be very close to this, decided to actually take a look for herself. And she posted a video on what she found.
Hey, Nepean, I am at the location of Prime Minister Carney's housing announcement a few days ago, and there is nothing here. So all those buildings were brought in just for the photo op.
That's interesting. So a couple days before, that was supposed to look like a new housing development that was going in, and that it was going to be finished and people were going to be moving into it after they were finished. But then it was all torn down.
Well, he did say that the one on the end was going to Nepean.
Or Nineveh.
Pardon me. Yes, Nineveh.
Well, there's a problem with that too. And I guess I'll address that now. With modular housing, the thing is these things, if you're actually shipping it a long distance, you're going to be flat packing these things. And you don't flat pack it, assemble it, put screws and everything and fit everything together, and then take it apart and then repack it and then send it somewhere else, because you'll have completely weakened the seals and the structure of the actual house itself for it just to be reassembled again. So that home, and all of the homes here, they're probably going to be fairly useless at this point.
Right, because if you're nailing or screwing all these walls together to make the home, and then taking those nails and screws out and then shipping it somewhere else, well, you can't really use them again. You can't put those nails and screws in the exact same spots. It destroys the structural integrity of the walls.
And what are you going to do? Like, oh, sure, you could put the screws in different spots and stuff like that, but I don't know, as a new homeowner, I don't really want a home that has been already set up as a set piece. You're basically buying the floor model as a home. I don't want a floor model as a home. I want a home. So,
well, especially in a place like Nunavut, where it's very cold and you need things to be properly built and well insulated.
Well, and those houses didn't look well insulated. They didn't look like they were Nunavut ready.
Well, they weren't insulated yet, to be fair, but still.
Well, hey, they're trying to. They have the walls on, they have the windows on, and they have the tie-back on. They're supposed to be all done.
But no roof.
But no roof, and the rest of the house is missing. So, yeah. Anyway, let's go back to Barbara's video, because for those of you that may say, oh, well, sure, maybe she wasn't at the right spot. She was. So this is a screenshot taken from Barbara's video, and take a look over her left shoulder. We're looking at it, and it's her right shoulder. And you can see the two power lines and the tree that's standing up right next to them. So keep an eye on that. This is another frame that actually shows the quote-unquote site that is already built there. And you can see those two power lines, and you can see that same tree. So this is the same spot where the site actually occurred. And here's Barb again. So you can clearly see that this is the site.
Well, you can even see that the branches on that tall tree are exactly the same in both photos.
Right. And so they came in, they rolled everything out, and then they just took it all back.
Packed up shop.
Now, after Barb posted her video and some other people were posting it, this started to go a bit viral. And then, this is from an X account that we've actually linked in the description. And this is a wide angle view from the site. But again, you can see those two same power lines back there. You can see the gate where Barbara was standing near, and you see an excavator just sitting there chilling out no houses. And this is after the announcement actually happened. So the big question is okay, so if, and this is just an assumption on our part, if these homes are basically useless now because they've unpacked them and they've assembled them and then they've torn them all down, who's going to pay for that?
That's a good question. I think we unfortunately know the answer.
Right.
But
so,
let's hear you say it.
So this is a federal government announcement. So it's reasonable to think that Mark Carney rang up the guys at Kaivan and said, hey, do you want to be part of an announcement? We'd love to have you guys there. All you have to do is set up a fake village, partially constructed, and and we need it in a couple of days. So they say, okay, fine, but we're not going to just eat the cost. So Mark Carney says, okay, well, we'll pay you for what those houses would have cost and the labor associated with. Now, that could have cost close to $1 million, if not more, of taxpayer money just for a bloody photo op, folks. A photo op. Because I don't believe a company like Kaivan is just going to eat that cost. That doesn't make sense.
Well, and it doesn't make sense that they would have kept the houses there either, because you can see in Barbara's photo, it says that it's owned by Hydro One. So the area is obviously something to do with power lines, maybe transformers. They can't have houses just stay there.
So this is, it's just unreal, folks. Like you can see this and you can believe it because it's Mark Carney and the Liberals. But when you actually unpack this and you look at it, you shake your head. It's smoke and mirrors. And the fact that they wanted to set up a fake build site just to have an announcement, it's crazy. And the fact that the company went along with it is crazy too.
Well, I don't understand why, if, for example, Mark Carney and the Liberals wanted to use this particular company, they couldn't have asked them, like, where are you building your houses next? I understand that they go up very quickly because they're modular, but to me, that makes more sense to say, okay, where's your next site going to be, and schedule a press conference for that, as opposed to setting up a fake town.
Well, I also don't believe that a house goes up in 2 days, because that's a lot of work. That would be a lot of work to actually finish that. And in order to actually do what they did, they must have brought in a lot of workers to set it up and tear it down that quickly. So I don't buy for a second that these are going to go up faster. Now, a regular home, it takes months and months to build. So I'm not disputing the fact that modular homes are faster, but for him to say, oh yeah, this can basically all be done in a week, I don't think so.
Maybe he just means the skeleton of the house, like the outside.
Well, he should be choosing his words more carefully then.
Perhaps.
Because he implied it's going to be done in record time. If that's the case, we can have 3 million homes done this year and we're done. Oh, wait. No, that's not going to work, is it?
Housing starts are down. They're down compared to last year, and I think they're at the worst levels in a very long time, and that's affecting our economy as a whole.
So here's the company in question. So this is Kaivan, and you can see their website right up there, and it says they've proudly putting on their website, press release, PM Mark Carney announces Build Canada Homes Initiative. And notice the angle that they actually put on the actual press release here. It's a straight on angle, so you can't see the unfinished side of the house. So there you go. But there is video of Mark Carney actually strolling through this unfinished home for some reason, but there is video of it. And you can see this billboard that they put up on the left. You can see the crane with the Canadian flag. Like, this is a staged set is what it is. And right below the press release on their website, it says factory-built homes will be constructed on federal lands in Ottawa as part of the federal government's new Build Canada Homes Initiative. Well, Hydro One is not on federal land, so, you know, there's another clue for you.
It's either private or it's provincial.
Prime Minister Mark Carney unveiled the $13 billion agency to speed up affordable home building in Ottawa on Sunday. Quote, in short, Build Canada Homes will help us build faster, smarter, and more sustainably, end quote, Carney said. Carney made the announcement while touring a new modular home being built in Ottawa by Kaivan. Notice it doesn't say demo home. It doesn't say stage set. It just says modular home.
But technically that's correct because Prime Minister Mark Carney did tour a modular home that was being built by Kaivan. I mean, one would assume that it was a permanent structure, but technically it didn't say that it was or wasn't in the statement.
Some of the most frustrating lies are the ones where it's a lie by omission.
Yeah, it's like technically correct.
Those are the most irritating ones. Now, what is even more frustrating, but still unsurprising, is they had a link where you could click on to go to the full announcement. And here's what CTV had to say about this. So this is the article that Kaivan's website actually links to. And it says factory homes will be constructed on federal lands in Ottawa as part of the federal government's new quote-unquote Build Canada Homes initiative. And then I just want to go all the way to the bottom. It says Carney made the announcement while touring a new modular home being built in Ottawa by Kaivan Homes.
Again, technically correct.
Yeah, but when it comes to the actual news, not good enough. Not good enough. Carney's he's gonna spin this and he's gonna do his thing.
I don't disagree with you. I mean, when you say something like, you know, Prime Minister Carney toured this home being built by Kaivan Homes, you would assume that it's a permanent structure, that it's staying there, that it wasn't just put up for a couple days for a photo op.
Right, but this ironically just weaves in how complicit the legacy media has been with the Liberal government. And it's frankly just disgusting.
Yeah, they've become spin doctors for the Liberal government.
So, you know, they should be calling it out and saying, well, you know, this actually wasn't, this wasn't real. It wasn't an actual build site. This was just a set piece. And if you were there as a reporter, you'd be able to tell pretty quickly that this was just a set piece. And they weren't calling it out. Like, I would be fine if Mark Carney was saying, we worked with Kaivan Homes to set up this as a demo just to demonstrate how quickly you can build these things. And that wasn't said at all. Not at all. He wanted everybody to think that this was a real build site, that this was actually happening, and this was coming to fruition. But it's not. And the media was complicit, and Kaivan Homes just as complicit. So you took part in this smokescreen, in this charade to launch this. And it's just going to be indicative of the program itself. The whole program is smoke and mirrors, just like the Housing Accelerator was going to catapult home building in Canada and get us up to 500,000 homes per year. Well, that's the exact same promise that Mark Carney is making, and we have the same level of faith in that number coming to fruition as we did when Chrystia Freeland and Justin Trudeau announced it. Absolutely nothing.